Did you know Massachusetts has a town where every single street is named after a tree? Or that there's an island off the coast that both the US and another country claim ownership of? How about the fact that this tiny state invented basketball, volleyball, and the chocolate chip cookie, all within a few years of each other? So grab your clam chowder, because we're about to hit you with 50 of the strangest, most incredible facts about Massachusetts that you probably never knew. Fact 50. The state's official dessert. Massachusetts has an official state dessert, and it's not what you'd expect. It's the Boston cream pie, which isn't actually a pie, it's a cake. 2 layers of sponge cake filled with custard and topped with chocolate glaze. Created at Boston's Parker House Hotel in 1856, it became so iconic that the state legislature finally made it official in 1996. The same hotel also invented Parker House rolls and the Boston scrod preparation method. One hotel kitchen basically defined Boston cuisine. Fact 49. The smallest state park. Massachusetts' smallest state park is barely a park at all. Province Lands in Provincetown covers major-sized dunes, but the tiniest designated park space is just 12 square feet, a small memorial. Meanwhile, the largest is Miles Standish State Forest at over 12,000 acres. The state has 450,000 plus acres of protected parkland, despite being only 10,565 square miles total. Massachusetts takes conservation seriously, preserving forests, beaches, and historic sites across the state. Fact 48. The highway to nowhere. Route 128, the highway that loops around Boston, has a bizarre nickname: America's Technology Highway. In the 1950s through 70s, it was the Silicon Valley before Silicon Valley existed, lined with tech companies and defense contractors. Companies like Digital Equipment Corporation and Raytheon thrived here. But when California's tech scene exploded, Route 128 lost its edge. Today, it's regaining its reputation thanks to biotech and robotics firms. The highway that almost defined American innovation is making its comeback. Fact 47. The island that disappears. Nantucket's Great Point shifts constantly. This narrow spit of sand at the island's northern tip is shaped and reshaped by storms and currents. Take its lighthouse that's been rebuilt multiple times. The original was destroyed by fire in 1816, and subsequent structures have been moved or rebuilt due to erosion. During major storms, waves wash completely over the point, temporarily making it an island within an island. It's a reminder that Massachusetts' coastline is never truly stable. Fact 46. America's first public beach, Revere Beach, established in 1896, was the first public beach in the United States. Located just north of Boston, it was created to give working-class city residents access to the ocean. The beach became a massive entertainment destination with roller coasters, dance halls, and arcades lining the boulevard. Though the amusement parks are gone, Revere Beach remains a beloved summer spot, hosting the annual International Sand Sculpting Festival, attracting all kinds of beachgoers, proving that beaches shouldn't be just for the wealthy. Fact 45. The witch city's real name, Salem, embraces its witchy reputation, but here's the irony. No actual witches were involved in the 1692 trials. The accused were innocent people caught in mass hysteria. Today, Salem is home to modern practitioners of Wicca and witchcraft who've reclaimed the narrative. The city hosts elaborate Halloween celebrations, witch museums, and occult shops. What began as tragedy has transformed into a unique cultural identity. Salem turned its darkest chapter into a story of resilience and acceptance. Fact 44. The Ice King's Empire. Before refrigeration, ice was Massachusetts' strangest export. Frederick Tudor, the Ice King, harvested ice from Walden Pond and other local lakes and shipped it worldwide, to the Caribbean, India, even Hong Kong. In the 1840s, Massachusetts ice was cooling drinks in Calcutta and preserving food in Rio de Janeiro. Tudor became wildly wealthy selling something that literally melted. The ice trade collapsed when mechanical refrigeration arrived, but for decades, Massachusetts winter ice was a global commodity. Fact 43. The blue laws that weren't about morality. Massachusetts' famous blue laws restricted Sunday activities for centuries. You couldn't buy alcohol, hunt, or even participate in certain sports on Sundays. The term blue laws possibly comes from the blue paper they were printed on. Most have been repealed, but some quirks remain, like restrictions on certain holiday alcohol sales. These laws reflected Puritan values that shaped early Massachusetts culture. The state has loosened up considerably, but traces of that strict heritage linger mostly to provide a day of rest for workers. Fact 42. The Lighthouse Mystery. Boston Light, built in 1716, is the oldest lighthouse station in the United States and the only one still staffed by the Coast Guard. The current tower dates to 1783, after the British destroyed the original during the Revolution. The keeper's job includes maintaining the light and giving tours. It's a living piece of history, still guiding ships through Boston Harbor's treacherous waters. The lighthouse is so important that Congress mandated it remain permanently staffed. Fact 41. The Floating Bridge. The Cape Cod Canal, completed in 1914, cuts through the Cape to shorten shipping routes and avoid the dangerous waters around Provincetown. The Bourne and Sagamore bridges span this canal, connecting Cape Cod to the mainland. On summer weekends, traffic backs up for miles as tourists head to the beaches. The canal is also a prime fishing spot, with anglers lining its banks. It's an engineering marvel that turned Cape Cod into a true peninsula, though locals jokingly call it an island. Fact 40. The town that banned tattoos until 2000. Massachusetts had some of the strictest tattoo laws in America. From 1962 to 2000, tattooing was completely banned statewide due to hepatitis concerns. People had to travel to Rhode Island or New Hampshire to get inked. When the ban finally lifted, tattoo shops exploded across the state. Today, Massachusetts has thriving tattoo culture and hosts conventions drawing artists worldwide. It went from zero tolerance to full embrace in just 2 decades. Fact 39. The State Muffin. Massachusetts has an official state muffin, the corn muffin. Designated in 1986, it honors the importance of corn in Native American and colonial diets. Corn was a staple crop that helped early settlers survive harsh winters. The corn muffin designation sparked debate. Some wanted the blueberry muffin instead, given the state's cranberry and blueberry production. But corn won, representing agricultural heritage over commercial farming. It's a delicious piece of legislation. Fact 38. The Secret Subway Station. Boston's subway system has several abandoned stations hidden beneath the city. Old elevated train platforms, sealed tunnels, and forgotten stops dot the network. Some were closed due to low ridership, others during system expansions. Urban explorers and transit enthusiasts seek them out, though accessing them is illegal and dangerous. These ghost stations are reminders of Boston's ever-evolving transit system. One day, they're vital infrastructure. The next, they're historical curiosities buried underground. Fact 37. The State Cat. Massachusetts designated the tabby cat as the official state cat in 1988, thanks to lobbying by schoolchildren. It's one of the few states with an official cat, and it represents the most common type of domestic cat in America. The campaign was led by kids who loved their pet tabbies and wanted them honored. It's a wholesome example of how civic engagement can start young. Plus, who doesn't love tabbies? Fact 36. The largest Christmas tree in America. Every year, Nova Scotia donates a massive Christmas tree to Boston, displayed on Boston Common. It's a thank you gift for Boston's relief efforts after the devastating Halifax explosion of 1917. When a munitions ship exploded in Halifax Harbor, killing 2,000 people and destroying much of the city, Boston immediately sent medical aid, supplies, and personnel. Nova Scotia has sent a tree every year since 1971 to commemorate that generosity. It's one of the most touching international traditions in North America. Fact 35. The town with every tree street. Brookline, Massachusetts has entire neighborhoods where every street is named after trees. Walnut, oak, beech, elm, cypress, and dozens more. It's a deliberate urban planning choice that makes navigating slightly easier. If you're in the Tree District, you know exactly what kind of neighborhood you're in. Brookline is also notable for being an independent town completely surrounded by Boston, refusing annexation for over a century. It's fiercely independent and beautifully arboreal. Fact 34. The regatta that defines fall. The head of the Charles Regatta, held every October in Cambridge, is the world's largest two-day rowing event. Over 11,000 athletes and 400,000 spectators gather along the Charles River to watch collegiate and club rowers compete. The race covers 3 miles from Boston University's DeWolf Boathouse to Herder Park in Brighton. It's a massive celebration of rowing, autumn foliage, and Boston's collegiate culture. If you want to see the Charles River at its most vibrant, this is the weekend. Fact 33. The stolen art that's still missing. In 1990, thieves disguised as police officers stole 13 artworks worth $500 million from Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. They made off with Rembrandts, Vermeers, and a Monet. Despite a $10 million reward and decades of investigation, the art has never been recovered. Empty frames still hang where the paintings once were, a haunting reminder of the loss. It remains the largest unsolved art heist in history, and the museum still hopes for their return. Fact 32. The perfect storm location. Gloucester, Massachusetts was the home port of the Andrea Gale, the fishing boat lost in the perfect storm of 1991. Sebastian Junger's book and the subsequent movie immortalized the tragedy. The storm combined 3 weather systems into a catastrophic event that claimed 6 lives. Gloucester fishing industry has always been dangerous. The town's Fisherman's Memorial bears the names of over 10,000 lost at sea since 1623. It's a community defined by both the bounty and the brutality of the ocean. Fact 31. The birthplace of American industry. Lowell, Massachusetts became America's first planned industrial city in the 1820s. The Lowell Mill Girls, young women from rural New England, worked in massive textile factories along the Merrimack River. They lived in supervised boarding houses, earned wages, and gained unprecedented independence for women of that era. Lowell's mills powered the Industrial Revolution, making it one of the most important manufacturing centers in 19th century America. Today, Lowell National Historical Park preserves this history. Fact 30. The state insect. Massachusetts' state insect is the ladybug, designated in 1974 after lobbying by second graders. It's beloved for eating sap-sucking insects and other garden pests, making it a natural form of pest control. The students' campaign showed that even kids can influence state policy. The ladybug is also the state insect of several other states, making it one of America's most honored insects. It's small, helpful, and surprisingly popular in state legislatures. Fact 29. The literary legend. Emily Dickinson spent almost her entire life in Amherst, Massachusetts, rarely leaving her family's home. She wrote nearly 1,800 poems, most unpublished during her lifetime. Her work revolutionized American poetry with unconventional punctuation, slant rhyme, and deeply introspective themes. Today, her home is a museum, and scholars still analyze her cryptic, brilliant verses. Amherst celebrates her legacy, though Dickinson herself preferred solitude and obscurity. She's proof that you don't need to travel the world to change it. Fact 28. The Cryonics Company. Though no longer headquartered in Massachusetts, the Cryonics Society of America had early roots in the state. The first human was cryonically frozen in 1967 in California, but Massachusetts researchers contributed to the science. The idea of freezing bodies for future revival sounds like science fiction, but several facilities worldwide now offer the service. It's controversial, expensive, and uncertain, but it reflects humanity's eternal quest to cheat death. Massachusetts' scientific community has always pushed boundaries. Fact 27. The state cookie. In 1997, Massachusetts designated the chocolate chip cookie as the state cookie, honoring Ruth Wakefield's invention at the Toll House Inn in Whitman, Massachusetts. That's right, Every time you bite into a chocolate chip cookie anywhere in the world, you're tasting a 1938 Massachusetts creation. It's a sweet legacy that transcends borders and generations. From Toll House to homemade recipes, the chocolate chip cookie is universal comfort food. Fact 26. The most educated small towns. Towns like Lexington, Newton, and Brookline have some of the highest percentages of residents with advanced degrees in the entire country. Over 70% of adults in these towns hold bachelor's degrees, and many have master's or doctoral degrees. The concentration of universities nearby like Harvard, MIT, and Boston College, high-paying jobs, and excellent public schools create feedback loops of educational achievement. These towns aren't just educated, they're among the most educated communities on Earth. Fact 25. The state that basically invented America. Massachusetts isn't just part of American history, it is American history. The Mayflower Compact signed in 1620, the Boston Tea Party in 1773, the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere in 1775, the first shots of the Revolution at Lexington and Concord. It all happened in Massachusetts. This state was ground zero for independence. And get this, the Massachusetts Constitution, written in 1780 by John Adams, is the oldest functioning written constitution in the world still in effect. Think about that. When people around the globe write constitutions today, they're following a template drafted in Massachusetts over 240 years ago. Fact 24. The bridge that inspired a song. The Harvard Bridge connecting Boston to Cambridge is measured in Smoots. Back in 1958, MIT fraternity pledge and Texas native Oliver R. Smoot was laid end-to-end across the bridge repeatedly to measure it. The result? 364.4 Smoots plus 1 ear. The markings are repainted every year, and Smoot himself went on to become chairman of the American National Standards Institute. Only in Massachusetts would a college prank become an official unit of measurement. The bridge is also the longest across the Charles River at 2,164 feet. Fact 23. Basketball was born here. In December 1891, Canadian native James Naismith was teaching at the YMCA International Training School in Springfield, Massachusetts. Tasked with creating an indoor game to keep students active during harsh winters, he nailed 2 peach baskets to opposite ends of a gymnasium, wrote 13 basic rules, and invented basketball. The first game was played with a soccer ball and 9 players per team. Today, basketball is played by 450 million people worldwide, and Springfield is home to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Fact 22. Volleyball too. 4 years after basketball, another Massachusetts YMCA instructor created volleyball. William G. Morgan, who's originally from New York, was working at the YMCA in Holyoke in 1895 when he invented Mintonet as a less physically demanding alternative to basketball. He combined elements of basketball, baseball, tennis, and handball. The name changed to volleyball after someone observed that players were volleying the ball back and forth. With both basketball and volleyball having its start in Massachusetts, you can say the Bay State is basically responsible for high school gym class. Fact 21. The Fig Newtons' true origin. Despite the name, Fig Newtons were not invented in Newton, Massachusetts, but they were named after it. The Kennedy Biscuit Company in Cambridge created the cookie in 1891 and named it after the nearby town of Newton. The company had a policy of naming products after surrounding communities. The Fig Newton became wildly popular and is still produced today. Newton residents embrace the connection. It's the most delicious case of geographic branding in snack history. Fact 20. The witch trials that weren't what you think. The Salem witch trials of 1692 to 1693 are infamous, but most people don't know the actual trials took place in Salem town, while most accusations came from Salem Village, now called Danvers. Over 200 people were accused, 30 found guilty, and 19 executed by hanging. One man, Giles Corey, was tortured with stones after refusing to enter a guilty or not guilty plea, and passed away after being crushed for 3 days. The hysteria ended when the governor's wife was accused. 5 years later, the colony admitted the trials were a mistake. Fact 19. America's first subway. Boston's subway system opened in 1897 and is the oldest in the United States. The Tremont Street subway was built to ease massive streetcar traffic congestion. Park Street Station, opened in 1897, is still in operation today, making it one of the oldest continuously operating subway stations in the world. Despite its age and the jokes locals make about delays, it's a national historic landmark. When New Yorkers brag about their subway, remind them Boston did it first. Fact 18. The birthplace of American literature. In the mid-1800s, Concord became the epicenter of American literature. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Louisa May Alcott, and Nathaniel Hawthorne all lived there simultaneously. Thoreau wrote Walden about his experiment at Walden Pond. Emerson led the Transcendentalist movement. Alcott wrote Little Women in Orchard House. Hawthorne penned works at the Wayside. This small town shaped American literary and philosophical thought more than any other place in the country. Fact 17. The country's oldest continuously operating restaurant. Union Oyster House in Boston opened in 1826 and has been serving seafood continuously ever since, making it America's oldest restaurant. The building dates back to 1704. Daniel Webster drank a tumbler of brandy with each half-dozen oysters he consumed. JFK loved Booth 18 so much that they dedicated it to him. The curved oyster bar is original, and shuckers still work there just as they did nearly 200 years ago. Fact 16. Chocolate chip cookies started here. We know it's the state cookie, but we think it's pretty sweet how it all started. In 1938, Ruth Wakefield was running the Toll House Inn in Whitman. She chopped up a Nestle chocolate bar and mixed the pieces into cookie dough, expecting them to melt. Instead, they held their shape, creating the first chocolate chip cookie. The recipe became so popular that Nestle bought the rights in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate. Every chocolate chip cookie you've ever eaten traces back to Ruth's kitchen. Fact 15. The largest academic library in the world. Harvard University's library system is the largest academic library in the world, with over 17 million volumes across 70 libraries. The Widener Library alone holds 3.5 million books and is named after Harry Elkins Widener, a Harvard graduate who died on the Titanic. His mother donated funds to build the library in his memory. The library's collections include rare manuscripts, ancient texts, and one of the few perfect copies of the Gutenberg Bible. Fact 14. Dunkin' was born here. Dunkin' is a Massachusetts institution. The first Dunkin' Donuts opened in Quincy in 1950, founded by Bill Rosenberg. The original name was Open Kettle, but it was changed to emphasize dunking donuts and coffee. The chain exploded in popularity and now operates in over 40 countries. But in Massachusetts, it's more than a coffee chain, it's a lifestyle. Locals call it Dunks, and get this. There are more Dunkin' locations per capita in Massachusetts than anywhere else. Fact 13. The state with the most presidents. Sort of. 4 U.S. presidents were born in Massachusetts, remarkably Norfolk County. John Adams, John Quincy Adams, John F. Kennedy, and George H.W. Bush. The Adams family alone gave the country 2 presidents, and both are buried in Quincy at the United First Parish Church. The Kennedy Presidential Library is in Boston. 2 more presidents have ties to the state. George Washington, who called Cambridge home while commanding the Army, and Calvin Coolidge, who served as mayor, senator, and governor in the state. Massachusetts may not have the most presidents total, but the impact of its presidential contributions are unmatched. Fact 12. America's first public park. Boston Common, established in 1634, is the oldest public park in the United States. Originally used as common grazing ground for cattle, it has witnessed public hangings, British troop encampments during the Revolution, and Martin Luther King Jr. speaking during the Civil Rights Movement. Today, it's 50 acres of green space in the heart of Boston. The Frog Pond becomes an ice skating rink in winter and a spray pool in summer. It's been a gathering place for nearly 400 years. Fact 11. The cranberry capital. Massachusetts produces about 25% of the nation's cranberries, second only to Wisconsin. The cranberry is the official state berry. Cranberry bogs are iconic in southeastern Massachusetts, flooding in fall to make harvesting easier. The sight of bright red berries floating on flooded bogs is quintessentially Massachusetts. Native Americans used cranberries for food, medicine, and dye long before colonists arrived. Ocean Spray, the cranberry cooperative, is headquartered in Lakeville. Fact 10. The Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon, first run in 1897, is the world's oldest annual marathon. Inspired by the first modern Olympic Games in 1896, the race has been held every Patriots' Day since. It's one of the 6 world marathon majors and the only one requiring qualifying times for most runners. The course runs from Hopkinton to Boston, covering 26.2 miles. Heartbreak Hill tests runners' endurance around mile 20. After the 2013 bombing, Boston Strong became a symbol of the city's unshakable strength. Fact 9. The Bay State's glacial playground. Cape Cod is a 65-mile-long peninsula formed by glacial deposits during the last ice age. It's shaped like a flexed arm, and locals refer to different regions as the Upper, Mid, and Lower Cape, which is geographically backwards since the Lower Cape is actually northernmost. The Cape Cod National Seashore protects 40 miles of pristine beaches and dunes. The Cape is also home to Highland Light, America's oldest lighthouse still in operation, built in 1797. Fact 8. The islands that time forgot. Massachusetts has 50 islands in Boston Harbor alone, and many have wild histories. Spectacle Island was once a garbage dump and is now a beautiful park. George Island houses Fort Warren, where Confederate prisoners were held during the Civil War, and is allegedly haunted by the Lady in Black. The Boston Harbor Islands National and State Park protects 34 islands and peninsulas, offering hiking, camping, and history, just a ferry ride from downtown Boston. Fact 7. The first state to legalize same-sex marriage. In 2004, Massachusetts became the first state in the U.S. to legalize same-sex marriage following the Supreme Judicial Court decision in Goodridge versus Department of Public Health. The ruling stated that denying marriage licenses to same-sex couples violated the state constitution. Massachusetts led the nation on marriage equality, and other states slowly followed. It took another 11 years before the U.S. Supreme Court legalized it nationwide. Fact 6. The real Thanksgiving location. Everyone knows the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock in 1620, but here's the twist. Plymouth Rock probably isn't where they actually first landed. They initially landed in Provincetown on Cape Cod and spent a month there before sailing to Plymouth. The first Thanksgiving in 1621 was a 3-day feast shared by the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag people, including Tisquantum, Squanto. It wasn't called Thanksgiving at the time and didn't become an annual tradition until much later. Fact 5. The cursed sports legacy. Boston sports fans endured the curse of the Bambino for 86 years. After the Red Sox sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees in 1919, they didn't win another World Series until 2004. When the Red Sox finally won, sweeping the Cardinals, the entire city erupted. Since then, the Red Sox have won 3 more championships. The Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls since 2001. The Celtics have 18 NBA championships and counting. And let's not forget the Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2011. Fact 4. The Berkshire's secret. The Berkshires in western Massachusetts are a cultural powerhouse. Tanglewood, summer home of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, draws music lovers worldwide. The region is packed with theaters, museums, and art galleries, including the Norman Rockwell Museum and Mass Museum of Contemporary Art, one of the largest in the U.S. Herman Melville wrote Moby Dick at his home Arrowhead in Pittsfield, and in fall, the region explodes with foliage. Fact 3. The most educated state. Massachusetts consistently ranks as the most educated state in the nation. Over 45% of adults hold a bachelor's degree or higher, the highest percentage in the U.S. The state is home to over 100 colleges and universities, including Harvard, MIT, Boston University, Tufts, Wellesley, Williams, and Amherst. This concentration of brainpower has made Massachusetts a global leader in biotech, medicine, technology, and innovation. Fact 2. The Tea Party that changed everything. On December 16, 1773, colonists disguised as Mohawk Indians boarded 3 British ships in Boston Harbor and dumped 342 chests of tea into the water. It was a protest against the Tea Act and taxation without representation. The Boston Tea Party became a defining act of defiance that pushed the colonies toward revolution. The British responded with the Intolerable Acts, closing Boston Harbor and igniting colonial fury. The event is reenacted annually at the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum. Fact 1. The state that started a nation. On April 19, 1775, British troops marched from Boston to Concord to seize colonial weapons. At Lexington Green, they encountered colonial militiamen. Someone fired "The shot heard round the world," and the American Revolution began. By day's end, the British retreated to Boston under constant fire from colonial militia. The battles of Lexington and Concord proved that ordinary citizens could stand up to the British Empire. Massachusetts didn't just participate in the American Revolution, it started it. So there you have it. 50 wild and wonderful facts about Massachusetts that's more than history books and clam chowder. Massachusetts may be small, but it punches way above its weight class. From starting the American Revolution to leading the tech boom, from Dunkin' Donuts to championship sports teams, the Bay State is packed with surprises that shaped America in ways most people never realize. If you enjoyed these facts about the Bay State, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below and tell us, what surprised you most about Massachusetts? Or which state should we cover next? How about 50 facts about Ohio you never knew?